If you like to talk about combat sports and you want to join the discussion, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it and join Knucklehead Nation. Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to another episode of the FightersRep video podcast. And tonight, as we've been doing throughout this quarantine, we've got another fantastic guest for you. None other than the owner and head trainer of Saekson Muay Thai in Los Angeles, actually in Van Nuys, Coach Julio Trana. How are you, Coach?
Hey, Sawadee Cup. Thank you. I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm so excited to have you on. I've been meaning to have you on for a while, and it's crazy times that I have you on, Coach. Crazy times right now.
Yeah, definitely. Not normal, that's for sure, huh?
For sure. So, before I ask you anything else, how are you holding up right now? I mean, I know you're used to being at the gym like every single day. How does it feel to kind of be pinned down right now like this?
Trying to adjust, man, and I think we're doing pretty good. Felt pinned down probably that first week, but man, as many of us did, we used the tools that we had and used them to our benefit, and just kind of started teaching classes online, man. I just like everybody else, I jumped on the Zoom and working with what we have for now, man. But definitely anxious to get back to regular working hours.
Coach Julio, one of the reasons I'm really, really excited to have you on the show is because I believe that you definitely have one of the best teams, I think, definitely in California. And when you say that, you got to graduate it by saying if you're one of the best teams in California, then you're probably one of the best teams in the United States and also in the world. Tell me a little bit about Saekson Muay Thai, how it got started.
Man, first of all, thank you. We worked hard for that, man. And when I say we, it's a team effort. But it definitely started from the roots, which is my coach, Saekson. And he taught over at the first Muay Thai school in USA, which is Muay Thai Academy in North Hollywood. And man, I learned from him. It was years and years of just training under Saekson, and everything that I learned from him, from not just from the Muay Thai aspect, but just kind of how to approach a team and how to approach a gym and everything. So kind of took that with me, man. And as I grew, and we kind of built our own gym, our own team, and still kind of kept the brand Saekson. And I think we're just kind of holding up to what he taught us. And from there, I guess the hard work has paid off, and it's been showing off as of late. So I'm happy.
But you can't get a name like Saekson attached to your gym just by asking for it. Am I right? I mean, this is a pretty big deal to have that kind of name attached to your gym.
Yeah, I agree, man. I don't talk about it too much. That's funny that you asked that, but I don't talk about it too much. But definitely, one of the traditions normally is like when you learn under a traditional coach, a traditional Thai coach, you typically take that coach's last name. You a lot of like famous names, Sid Tong, Sid Choi, all these last names, and Janjira was one of them. Janjira is actually a famous gym in Thailand, and that's where Saekson Janjira came from. Gotcha. So when he left California to Texas, and he opened up his own gym, and I completely stopped training to fight, and I just maintained training for just to kind of maintain in shape. And at the time, I was still playing basketball. But when it was time to open up the gym, and that was the only person that I trained under, and when Saekson trained here, I trained with him, obviously, here in the States, and he was still a fighter. He was still an active fighter. So a lot of the training that I got, a lot of us that trained with Saekson was firsthand training, meaning he was training. It was during his training camp, and we were jumping in. So a lot of the things that he learned, he started kind of molding. He kind of started building his own system. And now that I'm older, man, I see that, I notice that, I see different styles, and I can appreciate the different styles. And I just realized that Saekson in himself created a different style. And when it was time to open up the gym, I just asked him, like, hey, man, what I learned was your style. So I'd love to open up the gym under your name. And long story short, man, gave me the thumbs up, and here we are. Saekson's Muay Thai going strong.
That's incredible, Coach Julio. What kind of got you into the fight game? It sounds like you maybe had some other sporting activities going on, maybe a basketball player at some point. What got you into this? Because this is definitely not the safest or easiest way to make a living.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, man, it's. I don't know. It'd be nice to say it was. I prepared. And the preparation, and I knew I was going to do all this, but you don't, man. The true story is, I started when I was a kid. And when I started as a kid is, a lot of people can probably relate, but you have bullies in school and stuff, and it was just for self defense. You started learning self defense, and you fast forward to where I'm at now, and I had my couple jobs. I worked the corporate jobs, and everything kind of came back down to this, man. So with years of experience and everything, with all the work life and the training life and the education life, it comes down to, like, what have you done, for a long time, which, if you go to school or anything, you have to study for 6 years, 8 years. And, I can honestly say I started Muay Thai when I was 5 years old, and I've been studying since then. I'm turned 35, so it's almost going to be 30 years that I have of
Wow.
Muay Thai experience under me. So that's kind of where it came from, man. It just happened like that, I just started training.
Wow, 30 years is a really long time. What led you to a Muay Thai gym, Julio? Typically somebody wants to take their kids to learn self-defense. They end up at a Taekwondo gym or a karate gym. I mean, how'd you end up in a Muay Thai gym?
Man, location. I think location was probably the key in this, and in all this happening. We went from LA to North Hollywood, moved over to North Hollywood, and it was like literally probably, I'd say, a mile and a half, 2 miles distance from where we lived to the closest martial arts gym, which came to be Muay Thai Academy.
Wow.
And my mom looked into it, and we went there, and you know, back then, not really knowing Taekwondo, karate, or anything, we didn't know the difference. So it was like, okay, it
Yeah,
looks like
yeah, yeah.
they're stuff, they're punching stuff, so let's do it. And yeah, man, I joined, and I joined the same day my dad joined. My dad joined, and I joined the same day. And then from there, it was like a little trickle effect. 2 months after, my sisters started training, and then 6 months after, my mom started training, and you just had the whole family doing Muay Thai.
That's an incredible story, and I'm glad you bring up your dad. That's a good segue for my next question. So, I mean, the business, Saekson Muay Thai, your business in Los Angeles, this is a family-run business. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. It's family, Team Trana, as I like to call it. My mom, my dad, my wife, myself, my son now, who's getting bigger, man, and he's helping me out at the gym, and even my little one, man. My little one's over there sometimes, thinking he's a big guy, enforcing some of the gym rules on people. But yeah, it's a family.
Well, hey, those kids, I've seen your kids, man. They've got some abs and muscles. I'm like, what's going on? What's Julio feeding these kids,
Yeah, man. The same thing we all feed our kids, man. The only difference is we get to play around at a gym all day.
That's true. That's true. So, I'm glad again you brought up your dad, man. I actually met your dad before I got to meet you, and he came out. He came out to a FightersRep event. I was like, man, I want to try to get Saekson on the card. Obviously, it helps us legitimize our event. It gives us more credibility to have a great gym like yours on our card. And I got to meet your dad. Great sense of humor, but you can tell he doesn't. He's not playing the radio. You know what I mean? So he's also been training for about 30 years, right? I mean, if he started at the same time you have.
Yeah, I mean, you add the 30 years, and then you add, I can't think off the top of my head, X amount of years of boxing before that.
I
My dad had,
see. I see.
yeah, he had a little boxing experience, boxing background back in his country from in Nicaragua. And yeah, man, so it was real easy for him to kind of come in, transition, and me as a kid, man, I was real young. I was 5, and to start training, I look at it now, and I have my kids of my own, and to think like, man, I was taking an adult class at 5 years old. That's why my dad joined.
Wow.
So him having that background helped out a lot. But yeah, man, my dad's been in it as well. More than me, obviously.
Hey, I mean, Nicaragua, not the worst background to come from if you're a boxer. A couple names that come to mind are it's Chocolatitos Nicaraguan, so is Alexis Arguello, am I right?
Yep. Those
Dude,
are top guys right there, man.
dude, those guys were beasts, and I used to have a great time, even though he was a little bit crazy, watching Ricardo Mayorga. Did you ever watch Ricardo Mayorga?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I try to not claim, Ricardo too much, but man, if people like McGregor, man, they gotta look up Ricardo Mayorga because that guy was something else, man. That no
Dude,
filter, definitely.
Dude, that guy was a trip.
Man.
Coach Julio, so I mean, did you compete? You had fights, or did you just train under Saekson?
I did, man. I competed, and so when I started training, man, it was I want to say the '90s. It was literally the '90s, 1990, 91, and obviously you can't be a pro fighter when you're 5 or 6, but that's when my fighting career started, man. I was 5 years old and started doing what we called them back then, smokers, and I did a bunch of those. I probably had, between smokers and amateur fights, I had at least 40, 42.
Wow.
Uh, Total, yeah. It was, but there were. It sounds like a lot, man, but back then there were like almost at every gym, and it was fun, man. It was fun. Like they were happening every other weekend, and
Yeah.
you show up, and I'm sure you've heard the stories. You kind of
Yes.
just you weigh in, and you hope somebody weighs as close as your weight, and boom, fight on.
That's some
Yeah,
concrete. That's some concrete jungle shit. But
yeah.
the ABC boxing. I mean, they kind of do the same thing, right? The amateur boxing.
Followed it too much, but I know that it's very similar. Where these guys, in their head, they're like, okay, I'm a fight at 140, and they go in, they show up in the morning, and they hope that there's a guy, their size or weight, and the biggest thing, hoping that they don't lie about their record,
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's how it goes, I guess, in amateurs.
Even now with the sanctioning, like the IKF, like quadruple checks these people's records because people are still notorious about lying about their records and stuff like that, man. It's crazy. I can only imagine in a situation with smokers how bad people were lying about their records.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I think it was always a give or take.
Yeah,
You after a while you end up kind of you see these guys. You're like, okay, well he won the first time, and we know he's a killer, so we know
yeah,
who he is now. And I think it's happening with the IKF. You probably do see the same thing now, but I think it happens more with guys that don't have any fights, maybe, or say they don't have because a lot. I think you have a lot of guys now that with social media and stuff, you can kind of post things and you can look up guys. So
yeah.
a lot harder. Back then, it was just like, who's this guy? Look him
Yeah.
up. Phone numbers, all we got.
That's scary, man. Julio, I wanted to ask too. I'm curious. You start at 5 years old. You've got 30 years under your belt. You had 40 somewhat amateur fights or smokers or whatever people want to consider them. Did you feel like you burned out?
I did, absolutely,
Yeah.
I did. And it happened like probably around the time that I was trying to take basketball seriously. I was heading into, and everything kind of played into like the same year of my junior and my senior year. I never got to try out on any of the basketball teams, which I always wanted to try out
Yeah.
because there was always some fight or something that I was training for, or I had to take a fight. So freshman year, sophomore year, I always played basketball and I wanted to be on a team. And then my junior year came, and Saxon, who obviously is my coach, started, kind of little whispers that he was thinking about moving and leaving. And once that kind of came, and I was like, all right, man, well, you're thinking about leaving, and I want to play basketball anyway. So, I think it was my senior year he left. He left my senior year. I was like, all right, I'm a try out for the basketball team. Tried out for the team. I made the team, and
Wow.
that year, like I started teaching. I started teaching my senior year that I was playing basketball, and then from there, like it was just my focus was like, all right, something new, something fresh, and you graduate and then your attention goes somewhere else, man. But that's what happened.
Well, being a high school basketball guy myself, not that anybody cares, I'm curious what position were you playing?
Oh,
but down in Miami, everybody was playing football. I was the only asshole that wanted to play basketball. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but what position? What position were you playing, Julio?
I played point, man.
Ah,
I played point, man. It was fun, man. I loved it. I loved the competition, and just being part of I always wanted to be part of a team sport. And
right.
that year, I was part of I had transferred to a new school, so I was brand new to the school. I was like, man, this is the way that I got to get in and get to meet people, So
Yeah.
it was fun, man.
Well, I mean, point guard, if you know about the sport, typically the most coordinated, the fastest guy, the guy in charge of the team. How do you feel like the skills you learned in Muay Thai transition to basketball and maybe vice versa?
You know what, man? A lot, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah. I
I,
agree.
a lot of people can probably, that trained a different sport can relate, the fighting aspect and somehow, compare the two, but definitely a lot.
Yeah, I never fought. I just like to train. I played basketball. I ran track. I did different stuff. But I felt like the basketball, specifically for the footwork when it comes to training, I felt like, man, it helped me infinitely.
Yes. Yeah. One of the biggest things, and not to get into it, but like a defensive slide, the type of stance you got to be in to be in a defensive slide
Yeah.
is very similar to like how MMA guys stand. So it's like a lot of similarities, but yeah,
I
we won't
love
get
it. I love it. We gotta play some pickup. I mean, I haven't played in forever, but we definitely got to get together and play some basketball at some point.
Yeah, I'm ready, man. I love it.
I wanted to ask you, Julio. Let's kind of circle back to Saekson, man. A really impressive team, man. You got Alan Joban out there. You got Georgie, the Stash Garcia out there. Brian Del Rosario. I mean, you have formed this killer squad of guys that are fighting all over the world for the biggest organizations. Does it ever dawn on you the success you've had? And I mean, how does it feel to be at this level?
Man, you know what? I'm appreciative of everything, man. Every time we step into the ring, we step into the cage, and even now, as the years pass, like you just appreciate what a lot of us call the journey. So you know, appreciating the journey has been a big part of it, and just like I think doing that doesn't allow me to kind of look back anymore, and it just you want more, and wanting more sometimes is just maintaining where you're at, you know, and maintaining, and that in itself becomes the work aspect. So I love it. I think about it, and it's what makes me work more, and kind of translate to these guys as well. So I think that's why it's gone well for these guys.
Man, at just 35 years old, Julio, I'm not trying to blow smoke or anything, but at 35 years old, you've got guys in the UFC. What's sort of been your milestone, your biggest highlight of your career so far, would you say?
Man, just maintaining that competitiveness. I realized that right away, and I think this can be said in all sports. It's you don't rest really. There's always like that next goal. At first I was like, all right, I want to have a champion. I'm like, okay, I want to have a couple of champions. I'm like, all right, I want to have champions in this organization and that organization. So every year it's always been a better milestone. Just this year alone for me, it was going to be just having the gym for 10 years.
Wow.
May 3rd, it's gonna be our 10-year anniversary, and I still am looking forward to it.
Congratulations on that, by the way. That's big.
Thank you. Yeah, that's huge, man. So you asked me, and that's my answer is maintaining, and I don't even look at it as a business anymore, man. It's just my home. It's my team, and maintaining a team, that community that we've had from 2010 all the way up to now. That to me is probably the biggest accomplishment. Everything kind of just adds to that, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
Well, who do you think is, I mean, I don't want you to feel like you're forced to single anyone out, but, somebody who's accomplished something, maybe an accomplishment of one of your fighters, something that you're really proud of that you'd be willing to share with us.
Man, one of those highlights, man. We talk about it. Allen's fight. Allen had a big fight, and he had a lot of momentum going for him, man. And he was fighting Mike Perry, which at the time Mike Perry was undefeated. And man, you bring up you kind of jumping back and forth here, but you talked about Ricardo Mayorga,
Yeah.
Mike Perry. Not compared to him, but fight week, man. Mike Perry is up there, man.
He's insane. That guy's crazy, man.
Yeah, and we got Mike Perry, young Mike Perry.
Oh
Not as
man.
as he is now, and walking around with his girlfriend and everything. And that whole week, man, it was a lot of energy being built up, and the odds were kind of against us. I know they were setting up. Mike Perry was the young and upcoming guy, and undefeated, and I felt like Allen had the best performance that he's had, and that was something that it was a testament to his hard work, and the stage was right, everything was right, and man, it was a great night, and he had a great performance, and I was happy to be part of that, and it happened to be on a really big card. I think man, I think Paige Van Zandt just was coming off like. She was doing Dancing with the Stars, and then Uriah Faber was like his last. At that time, it was going to be his last fight. So it was a Fox card too. I think it was one of the last Fox cards. So it had a lot of viewers. And
Nice.
yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here again with Coach Julio Trana from Saekson Muay Thai. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon underneath it, and follow Coach Julio and Saekson Muay Thai. Right there on your screen is the Instagram handle at Saekson Muay Thai if you want to get it in at an authentic Muay Thai gym. From what I've read on the reviews, at least, that's what they're saying. If you want that authentic Muay Thai experience, you want to hit up Saekson Muay Thai. How do you feel about those kind of reviews, Julio? I just read one today.
I like him, man. I haven't looked at him in a while, but we try to stay real, man. We try to stay humble. It's not it's very easy to be me when I have my family around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're gonna get us, man.
Julio, another person that you train that I really, really enjoy watching, especially, is Georgie Garcia. And I was actually there when he
So
became.
do I, man.
And I was actually there when he became double champ at CXF. Now is LXF. But I was actually there. I got to interview him. That interview is actually on the channel still.
Yeah.
How did it feel to get that double champ status, and where do you see Georgie going in the near future?
Yeah, man. See, you bring that up, and that's up there as well, man, as one of those moments that was memorable.
I do my research, brother. I do my research.
Yeah, man. You see that thing, man, got me off guard, and that's the one that came to mind. But yeah, Georgie becoming the double champ, man, and that's my guy, man. I keep saying it's a family business, and I mentioned my mom, my dad, and everything, and Georgie's like a brother to me. Georgie is a brother to me. And that kid started with me since the beginning. It's from his amateur career to his pro career. I've traveled the world with that kid. When I'm gone, he takes over the gym. And dude, that's the hardest worker that I know.
That guy's an animal, man. If you guys haven't seen him already, go on YouTube, look up Georgie Garcia, give him a follow on Instagram. Incredibly impressive fighter. What's next for him? I mean, assuming we get over this, whatever the hell we're in right now, this crazy pandemic.
Yeah. Man, you broke up. I don't know if you
Sorry.
can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. I was asking what's next for Georgie Garcia, hopefully once they let us out of this pandemic.
Man, it's up in the air. I mean, Georgie's he signed with M1 Global. Excuse me, and M1 Global's most of their fights are international. They're out of the U.S. So he did have a fight that was scheduled. Man, I don't even want to get into that, but he was supposed to fight in South Korea the end of January, and we were actually supposed to go out to South Korea. The week before that, they canceled that whole show. I mean, his fight was kind of up in the air anyways, but yeah, he was supposed to fight end of January in South Korea, and then they had that lockdown, you know, out there.
How far do you see Georgie Garcia going? Because I feel like, man, he's got a ton of potential. And, you know, we'll touch on some of the other guys as well. But Georgie in particular, I'm interested in.
Yeah, man, you know, sky's the limit, man. And I mean that. I vouch for that kid to anybody and anywhere. He's it's unfortunate, you know, that sometimes especially in the sport that you know we chose, like MMA, you don't get like, you know, like you and I we were talking about basketball, and the basketball season's what, like 80 games.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to judge a player in 80 games, and then, you know, to have to judge, you know, some of these pro fighters with sometimes only 9 fights, 10 fights, it's, you know, and that's depending on, you know, what level they're going to go. You know, if it was up to me, man, I say Georgie should be in the UFC. He's ready for the UFC, and I see him competing with, you know, the best guys in the world. You know, that's where I see him, and that's where.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a no-brainer. I would agree with that from watching him. And in fact, when he became the double champ, didn't he do it against a former UFC guy?
Yeah. He did, man. He had a couple. I'm sorry, I couldn't think off the top of my head, but yeah, he had 2 guys that he fought.
Right.
That were set.
Right.
Yeah.
Another guy that I'm curious about, obviously, is a guy that brought you a nice green strap from the WBC. Our buddy Mauricio, our boy Mauricio Suleiman gave you guys a nice green belt. Brian Del Rosario. Tell me a little bit about Brian, Coach.
Yeah, man. I know. I haven't brought up Brian's name, but that's another one, man. Right here from the beginning, man. You know, another one of my brothers. 2010, he started with us. You know, and he's a bad man. You know, he just for his birthday, man, he just turned 30. You know, it's funny because I told him, I was like, man, you're not a bad boy anymore. You're a bad man. So you kind of make fun of him, man. You're like, you're a bad man. Yeah, man, he's you know, one of the nicest guys, man. If you ever get to meet him, and obviously you met him, and you know what I'm talking about. Super nice guy, man. You know, and but a killer in the ring and the cage. So. Yeah, man. I'm excited for him too, man. He's got some momentum.
Yeah. What do we see next for him? What do you think we see next for him?
Well, you know, another one, man. He had a fight scheduled, and he had a fight scheduled. I think it was March 12th or March 13th, and he literally got his fight canceled the day before.
Wow.
And that's what happened here. So what's next for him is, as soon as, you know, we all get to go back to our normal life, Brian should have his fight rescheduled for LXF, and yeah, man, you know, gets another W, and he's right there too, man, waiting hopefully to get that call, you know, just like Georgie. And Kyle, man, I got a bunch of guys, man, you know, now that you're throwing names out.
Hey, that's what we want to know about, man.
Yeah, man, you're getting me excited, man. I want
But before we continue, again, hit that subscribe, follow us at FightersRep, follow Julio at Saekson Muay Thai. The handle's right there on your screen. We got some people in the chat. You could ask Julio any questions you want within reason. We've got Keenan Lewis in the chat, says Julio is the man. We love our coach. We love our team. Come train with us.
Go, see Keenan, another one of my brothers, man. You see how many brothers I have? Did I not say this?
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. I got to meet, you know, Julio and I'm sorry, Brian and Georgie when they actually came to corner some of your, you know, young up and coming guys at the FightersRep card, man. I thought that was really dope that they were in the corner. That was really cool that they were supporting the younger guys coming up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it just shows you, you know, like what we built, man. You know, I was right there with those guys in the beginning for their fights, and I think I for sure was not there for some other fight. I must have been out of state or something, but, you know, having those guys able to take, you know, some guys that want to start their, you know, their careers in fighting, and having guys like Georgie and Brian taking them, man, it's you know, it's a big plus for me, man. You know, I brought them up, and I feel confident, and just seeing the work that they do, and you know, they're starting to have their classes, and they're teaching as well, and it's awesome, man. I love it.
It must be nice to be able to delegate some of that, knowing that these guys have picked up all the skills and kind of habits that you've instilled in them. It must be nice to have them as teachers for your young guys.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's we built within. We built within, and I'm confident that we built a system that works, and a system that works for everybody.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I wanted. I wanted to create. I wanted to create a system that is not only for just fighters. We keep talking about the fighters, but if you come to the gym, you would know what I'm talking about. These fighters, Brian, Georgie, Keenan, Kyle, Alan, they all take a class. We all take a class where, if you've never trained before and you came and you signed up to our gym, to my academy, you would be taking the same class that Georgie, Brian, Keenan are all taking.
Wow. Wow.
So that's what we built, and that's how confident I am.
Yeah, that's got to be an impressive experience, especially for someone coming in the first time to be able to train with pros. I think that's a very cool thing. Keenan Lewis is in here saying he came to you as a pro and you changed everything for him.
Yeah, Keenan's awesome, man.
Talk to me. Talk to me, crew. What went on there? What went on?
It's just growth, man. I'm gonna give Keenan some credit as well, man. All these guys, we all learn from each other, man, and it was just growth.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned being on a basketball team. A lot of these guys, a lot of fighters always talk about that it's a lonely sport and, this and that. And man, I disagree, man. I disagree. And that was one of the things that I wanted to create was I wanted to create a team that maybe not all of us probably experience the same journey, but we can all kind of take it together, and, we might have different results and stuff, but we can definitely have a team. And a lot of these guys like Keenan, he came in and he probably was part of a team, but, just kind of instilling that system in just everybody and everybody believing in it. It creates something, man. And, it creates like, I'm not just, and I say this, man, I don't just try to it's not just about creating, great fighters and good fighters. Like you want to create good people as well. That's one of the things that martial arts always teaches you. It's like everybody's the discipline and everything. But man, at the end of the day, I'm at the gym a lot. But I understand that a lot of people come to the gym for, a couple hours and then they go back to their normal lives. So you want to also not just, the self-defense aspect and everything, but you want to create, good people, man, and create good on the outside. And I don't know, I'm kind of blabbing here.
No, I like it's great. It's great.
Yeah, man. Just going back with Keenan, man. He's somebody that I appreciate somebody that takes their time to talk to me. Especially fighters, man. He's a fighter. I'm here to listen. I talk. He talks, and just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. That's growth right there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You mentioned you're in the gym a lot, and I can't disagree from your social media posts. I seen you in there. I mean, you're grinding it out. You're coaching. You're cleaning. You're demolishing the place and rebuilding the place. What kind of gave you that sort of that sort of work ethic? That sort of don't just kind of tell people what to do, but get in the mix and break it down and build it up yourself, kind of thing.
Man, a lot. Off the top of my head, obviously, man, it starts at the house, and I say that a lot. The work ethic, the what you see as a little kid is sometimes what comes out of you, and
Right.
hardworking parents, man. My mom worked hard, my dad worked hard, and I obviously told you that I started Muay Thai at 5. My parents had a full-time job, and somehow my dad was able to take the class with me, and train with me. And I was consistent and just their work ethic. And it's like, man, it's all I know, and yeah, even now, man, even now, like you said, I live at the gym, man. The stay at home orders, if I wanted to, I can go to my house all day.
I love it, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. You got me wanting to come there and stay at home with you. You know what I mean? I'm going crazy in this damn house. We got Little Monster Demo in the chat. I don't know if you know who she is. She's saying pros and weekend warriors, we are all together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Vanessa, man. See, again, how could I forget?
Yeah.
Vanessa's another one. Yeah, she's awesome, man. Yeah.
Is she a fighter or just someone that
Yeah.
comes to train?
She's a pro fighter. She fights for LFA, and
Ah,
she's another one, man. She's right there. What is she? She's like 4-1,
okay,
exciting fighter,
okay.
and yeah, so many monsters. I got a little monster. Look at that, monsters at the gym, man.
um, Crew Julio, as you know, we just recently started doing pro-am events. Obviously, we do the kickboxing rule set because it's what I like. I have the utmost respect for Muay Thai. Obviously, a lot of the fighters we pull into our cards are from Muay Thai and MMA gyms. Your gym actually trains all the disciplines, I would imagine: Muay Thai,
Yeah.
kickboxing, and you've got MMA guys over there. But what I'm interested in, Coach Julio, is these young up and comers you got, man. You've put some young stallions on my show. What kind of Frankensteins you got over there, and what can I look forward to in the future from you?
Man, a whole roster, man. I'm gonna use the basketball analogy on you.
I love
Mo-
it. I love
Most
it.
most of the people have seen the varsity team. A couple of people seen the JV team, but wait till you see the freshman and sophomore team coming up.
That's what I hear from everybody. I hear these young guys coming up are absolutely terrifying, and it sounds like you're having that same experience with your guys. I mean, who are some names we should watch out for in the future?
Man, you pick a discipline. I got
Yeah.
a couple guys in Muay Thai, some girls as well. Brandon Spencer, Daniel, David. MMA. I got a bunch of guys. Got Rick Zalata, got Jordan, uh, Remy, Nick, Luke. You
Yeah.
know, all these guys that are just like right there, man, constantly day in day out. I got a couple of Zoom classes. Like we're not fortunate enough to train right now, and I got like I said, everybody else is doing these Zoom classes and stuff, and I got a bunch of a couple of these fighters that are also logging on and still trying to stay active, man, just as hungry as everybody else. So looking forward to that.
Hey, you hear that, knuckleheads? They still got Zoom classes. Keep paying your gym memberships because once this thing is done, we're all going to have to go back and train somewhere. This doesn't stop just because, there's a virus going around. Within the next month or whenever this thing is done, it's all going to be over. Keep paying your memberships. And if you want to get on a Zoom class with Coach Julio, I mean, how do they go about doing that, Coach?
You got to be a member. Yeah, you got to be a member. You can hit me up. Hit me up on Instagram. You can call us. Website saxonsmuaythai.com. On Instagram, Saxons Muay Thai. Everything is Saxons Muay Thai. All my social media stuff. And just hit me up if you want to be a member. I kept it easy, man. I told all my members, class as usual. We're keeping class at 7. We're still teaching, and we're trying to keep those same vibes. And we still have people showing up, and it's awesome, man.
I love it. Julio, I wanted to circle back real quick and ask you about a couple of the fighters you put on the card. I really was really impressed with Elvis.
Yeah,
I mean,
Elvis.
you told me he was 3 years out of the gym and he came out to FightersRep and fought a very tough guy. And man, he looked incredible. I mean, what's up with that guy? And am I gonna get that guy back? Cause I want that guy.
Yeah, take him, but give him. Yeah, no, man, Elvis is funny, man. Elvis, again, man. All these guys are my boys, man. But
Yeah.
Elvis has been with me for man. What's it been like 7 years, probably 7, 8 years, and one of those guys that started training, was hungry, had some momentum, and then he just kind of stopped training, man. He stopped training, and what happens a lot, man. They stop training, but I say they stop training. They stop training as consecutive, as consecutively as I would like. But he would still show up every now and then, and a lot of these the new guys start kind of competing and stuff, and you start having shows like FightersRep, and these guys want to be on a show, man. And Elvis hit me up, and he's like, "I want to fight," and your show came up, Fighters Rep came up, and I thought it was a perfect opportunity. And man, it was like if you didn't miss a beat, man, when it was time for training camp.
Yeah.
He got in shape, and he performed well that day, man. He performed well, and yeah, he's another one, man. He's still in the gym, and he wants to fight again. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you'll have him on your next show for sure.
I would love that. I was really impressed by his technique. I mean, I feel like your guys, Julio, again, man, just very, very nice, beautiful technique, man. They were impressive to watch. And the other one was I believe it was a debut. Was it Sean Bradley? Was he debuting?
Yeah, I think, man, was that Sean's first? I think it was his first Muay Thai fight. I think he's had one MMA fight. I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, he's not. He doesn't have a lot of experience. He definitely
Yeah.
has like two fights or less. But yeah, man, he trains, man. He puts in the work, and again, man, when these guys, here's the thing, when these guys, and it's not that like I personally expect this, but it's the expectation that we all have. When we make a commitment to fighting, it's like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're accepting a fight, and this is priority. I'm not saying they got to stop doing, living life or anything, but it's okay. We committed to something. We got 6 weeks to prepare as best as we can. Let's go out and let's try to do our thing. And a lot of times, most times than not, these guys put in the work, and again, you can't always say that you're going to get the results that you work for, because that's not the sport we're in, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's in a split second everything can change. But as long as you can do your part, we like to think that the numbers are in our favor, and that specifically with Sean, that's what it was that day, man. He trained hard for your show, and he did well. I think he got a finish in the second round,
He
if I'm not
did. He did. He got a finish against a kid training out of Black House MMA,
Yes.
who's a very good athlete as well. And I was really impressed. Another thing I was impressed with, Coach Julio, was, so I mean, obviously we took a lot of pictures of the event, and I saw that you reposted a couple of them, which I was very happy about. And in the picture that you reposted, what really kind of caught my attention was you reposted a picture of John, Elvis, and you also reposted a picture of Sean, and they were both fighting in a southpaw stance, where I
Mhm.
believe they are both orthodox fighters, and you were kind of saying, you see, I told you this would work. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. You, well,
It gets me
again,
excited. It gets me excited, Cole. Just I get excited about it too, brother.
yeah, like I said, man, we prepare, and I don't like to throw the word game plan, and I don't like to say like, oh, you see this worked and everything, but it's just believing in something, creating a plan, trying to stick to it, and if it works, and it keeps working, it's gonna make us happy, man. Like, that's what you train for. You want to train for something, and you want to see it play out the day of the event, the day of the fight, and that day was one of those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, do you train your guys to be ambidextrous? Because I'll say, having come from the basketball background, it helped me incredibly to be able to go left and go right. I mean, when I would go left, obviously the majority of the world's right-handed. They were screwed. Is that
Yeah,
something that you kind of have as a part of your curriculum, to teach these guys how to fight from both stances?
absolutely, absolutely. I'm a fan. I've
Yeah.
always looked at it as I mean, it's still you're still using both hands and both legs. Nothing
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah, man, that was a beautiful performance, and I wanted to say, I mean, this was a bit of an extreme, I guess, review or opinion, but I mean, watching Elvis, the way he was fighting out there that night, I mean, he was using these subtle defensive moves, man. It kind of reminded me a little bit of when you watch Lomachenko, obviously not to that same extent, but I was like, holy shit, I mean, this guy, he's just moving enough to get out the way and do damage. You had to have been impressed by that performance.
Yeah, I was, man. But you know what I'm impressed by? I'm impressed that you saw all that. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, you know, it's I see Elvis, man. A quick little thing with Elvis. He's at the gym a lot, you know, and me and Elvis kind of play around and stuff, and I call it playing, where we're sparring, but you know, we've never nothing past I want to say 20%, 30%,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
we're just flowing, and you know, there's no threat of getting hit hard or anything, and you know, that's just constantly him training like that, and it came out the day of the fight, man. He was relaxed, calm, and you know, it's nice to see that, you know, and again, you know, you saw it, you know, he switches his stance, and you know, for you to be able to switch your stance during a fight, you have to be calm and relaxed, you know, especially if that's not your regular fighting stance.
Yeah, you know, and that was probably the best, I mean, performance I saw that night. That's why I remember it so well. I'm a huge fan of boxing. I mean, so I definitely, and kickboxing, so I definitely noticed that, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Another thing I liked about him, and you know, all your guys have been fantastic, but you know, he's someone I really took notice of. Another thing I liked was his mentality, man. He just seems like a headstrong guy that's not going to be scared of anybody, man. That's not something you can teach, is it? Or is that something you believe you can teach?
You know, you probably can't teach it, but you can get it out of people, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
And I think, I mean, he's not one. I mean, I'm saying that now because you asked me the question. He's not somebody that needs that, obviously.
yeah, yeah.
But, I mean, because he has it, man. I mean, Elvis from the beginning. You know, Elvis, you want to fight? Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, you know, for lack of a better phrase, I mean, he looked like he didn't give a fuck who was in there. He was going to fight them and try to kick their ass, and that's what I kind of liked about the
yeah,
guy, you know.
yeah. That's exactly it, man. You know, I'm so glad you cussed so I can say it too. But that's exactly how Elvis is. He does not give a fuck. Oh, that felt so good coming out of my mouth. You don't understand.
No problem. Hey, this is YouTube. We can kind of say whatever the hell we want on here. What is, you know, now that we're on that topic, what is it you find is kind of like the hardest thing to deal with you know, trying to teach people how to fight, get people ready for a fight? What's the problem you run into a lot as a coach? Is it the mentality? Is it limitations on physical skill and athleticism? What is it?
Oh man, that's a good question. You know, I had an answer, but I don't know if I wanted to say that. I mean, what comes to mind? It's always just the work. You know, the work, like anything else.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times, like man, it's just there's always like a new wave of something coming up. You know, and I say a wave of something, like I'll use an example of like the Conor McGregor thing. You know, Conor McGregor started kind of, you know, selling himself, you know, and a lot of guys I think kind of started shying away around that time, shying away from working hard, training, putting the hours in the gym and being like, okay, now I got to put in more hours on this and I got to do this now to get exposure and get this, you know. And I think like just always having that old school mentality, and I call it old school because man, you know, I feel like I've been around and I see it, man. It's the proof is in the pudding, and hard work over everything, you know. And sometimes not feeling the greatest and not wanting to go to the gym. Those are the days you got to go, you know, and minding fighters every single day, you know, like hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel, you know. It's hard. I think the motivation, you know, I guess I'm answering the question as I'm going,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
think
no, it's good. It's good.
I think it's motivation, you know. You know, I man, to use a quick analogy, man, it's kind of like what we're going through, you know. With fighters, sometimes it's unpredictable for them. They don't know when their next fight is, you know, they don't know where it's going to be,
Yeah.
you know, they think they do, you know, but you know, what do? We just say, you know, keep training, keep doing it. You know, it's kind of what we're going right now. It's like, hey, stay home. When are we going to go out? Well, stay, stay. You're going to eventually go back to work, but what's up?
Right, right, right. Well, I mean, you're not saying you ever deal with any flakes, are you, Julio? You don't deal with any flakes ever, I'm sure.
You know,
That's
I
that's
have,
me
but
being sarcastic, having dealt with about a million of them as a promoter, by the way.
I know, man, I know, and you know, and I'm just trying to be honest here. That's always what I try to be, man. I dealt with flakes, absolutely, but it just hasn't been that many, you know. Like I always tell these guys, like get it done, man. You know, if
Yeah.
anybody's a flake, you know, they end up kind of leaving on their own.
True. True.
That's how it is, man. And if they don't, it's just how it is. Or that's how I see it.
Yeah, no, you're right about that, and I've kind of fallen out of stressing over them and gotten to the point where, you know what, I'm just going to try to work with these big responsible gyms and hopefully not have to deal with these people anymore. I'm glad you talked about the uncertainty that we're in right now. I find it hilarious. I asked you before the interview what's going on, and you kind of have memorized the date that every government official has given us as to when we're opening up. So I'm going to ask you again while we're on this interview, when do you think Saekson Muay Thai is going to open up?
Man, should I give you the same answer, and should I tell all the viewers that I might open up April 30th, May 13th, or May 30th?
I love
It's
it.
hard.
I love it. That's so good. Coach Julio, I've asked you a million questions. I feel like I can pick your brain for hours. I do want to ask you, though, we're approaching 1 hour now. I want to stay on your good side. Is there anyone you want to shout out? Anything you want to say before I let you go here?
Yeah, man, a shout out to everybody from our family, man. Our family being the whole academy, everybody from Saekson Academy. I appreciate everybody. Like I said, we build a community, and even though we haven't been able to go to our gym, man, I still feel the presence from all of our students, all of our members, fighters, and a shout out to everybody from Saekson Academy. No one's that's everybody. That's everybody right there. Everybody's covered.
Any sponsors you want to show some love to?
Shout out to you, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the work that you've put in, George. FightersRep. We've been, I want to say we've been on 2-3 shows, and man, you've been nothing but awesome to me, my dad, my family, my team. And thank you, man. Thank you. Promoters like you, honestly, keep us going. As a gym owner, I train guys, and I tell these guys these stories about, like, hey, man, you want to fight and you want to have a crowd, and we tell them these stories, and the scene that we play out for them, don't happen if guys like you don't have shows. So thank you, man. Shout out to you and FightersRep for putting on some great shows.
Thank you, man. That means a lot, Coach Julio. I really look forward to having you guys continue to compete with us. I know we're a little far, man. I was a little hesitant. I was like, will they come out to Seal Beach? But I said, man, I gotta give it a try. I cannot allow, Saekson Muay Thai to be anywhere near me in the same state and not give them an invite. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Hey, you know what, man? We've been stuck at the house for 2 months. You can have your show in Florida, and I will drive there.
Well, come down to Miami, where I'm from. I'll show you my hometown, and we'll go get some fritanga. How does that sound?
Hey, that sounds like a weekend to me.
Get some of those fried cheese blocks, brother. Eat that really good Nicaraguan food. Hey, I know all about that, brother. Trust me.
Yeah, you do, man. I'm trying to stay away from it, but man, you're tempting me right now.
Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the FightersRep podcast. Again, hit the subscribe button below, the bell notification icon next to it. Follow us on social media at FightersRep. And please follow Coach Julio right there on your screen at Saekson Muay Thai is the handle. It's actually right underneath you. But there it is, Saekson Muay Thai. Give him a follow.
Is it 6 feet away from me, though? That's what's important.
Join Saekson Muay Thai if you're anywhere near Van Nuys. It's Van Nuys. Am I right, Coach Julio?
Yeah, we're in Van Nuys.
If you're anywhere near Van Nuys, you want to get that real MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing training going, whatever it is, head over there, train with some of the best guys in the world. Coach Julio will look out for you. And that's it. Until next time, knuckleheads, thank you so much for joining us. Keep it clean. Me and Coach Julio, we're out of here.
Later. So what up?